deep breaths as Upside-Down Bird glided towards the ground, his heart still pounding in his chest. Upside-Down Bird came into land on a rocky path that twisted down through one of the valleys, gently lowering Will to the ground with one of her claws. "Are you okay?" Upside-Down Bird asked, as Will took a couple of slightly hesitant steps on his distinctly wobbly legs. "I think so," Will replied, taking a long, deep breath. "But let's just say, I'm glad I didn't have much for breakfast this morning." "I'm so sorry," Upside-Down Bird said, as she began to shrink back down to her normal size. "I don't know what happened. I have no idea why we appeared in midair. There's still so much I don't understand about why my powers go haywire like that." "It's okay," Will said. "It's not your fault that your powers don't work properly in our world. I'm just grateful that they were working well enough that you caught me before I hit the ground." Will turned around quickly, taking in their surroundings. "Have you seen Randolph?" "No," Upside-Down Bird replied. "We usually all materialize in the same place, but I didn't see him falling out of the clouds." "Well, let's hope he's around here somewhere," Will said, with a worried frown. He knew that a fall, even from that height, was unlikely to have done his friend any harm. Teddy bears, as Randolph often liked to remind him, were made of considerably sterner stuff than humans. Unfortunately, that wasn't going to make him any easier to find, amidst the maze of dark mountains surrounding them. "Can you sense his medallion?" Will asked, hoping that the magical link between Upside-Down Bird and the strange talisman would somehow help them find their missing friend. "No," Upside-Down Bird replied, "but that might just mean he's too far away." Will looked around the boulder-strewn valley. The only sign that anyone had ever been there was the narrow trail that ran beside the fast-flowing stream that cut through the bottom of the gorge. Will had to assume that wherever Randolph was, he would try and head towards any sign of civilization. Their best chance of finding their friend was to do the same. "Right, let's follow this path," Will said, "and hope we find wherever it leads before it gets dark." Chapter 3. "Well, this is unfortunate," Randolph said, peering over the side of the giant nest that he'd landed in, halfway up the wrong side of a mountain. The nest was perched precariously in the twisted branches of a small tree that was growing out from the side of an otherwise vertical cliff face. He could not see the ground, or much of anything for that matter, due to the thick white fog that surrounded him in all directions. The branch creaked and groaned ominously every time that Randolph tried to move, and so he had decided, quite sensibly he thought, that not moving was probably the best course of action. So he sat quietly, looking at the Dragonfire game rulebook that had come through the magic portal with him, as he waited for something to happen, as he had found it usually did. The game was supposed to be about adventures and monsters, but the rulebook was filled with tables and what looked suspiciously like sums. So Randolph had decided it wasn't for him. He was just about to close the book when its pages suddenly lit up with a soft green glow as the amulet around Randolph's neck flickered with magical light for a brief instant. "Hello?" Randolph shouted, hoping that the light from the amulet meant that his friends were somewhere nearby. "I'm stuck in a nest." "I can see that," a deep booming voice said from somewhere in the fog. Randolph gave a startled yelp and leapt to his feet, clutching the book to his chest defensively as he span around looking for whoever the mysterious voice was coming from. "Who's there?" Randolph demanded, his voice much squeakier than the heroic tone he'd been hoping for. "You are the one trespassing on my domain, tiny creature," the voice bellowed back from the clouds as they lit up with a brief fiery glow. "Who are you that would come here, stinking of old magic, and take so foolish a risk with their life?" I am Randolph T. Bear, renowned adventurer," Randolph said, with as firm as a voice as he could muster.